It's been a week where I've had to deal with nothing more than feelings in a very public way. Speaking as I have at my father's funeral. An event of this magnitude can bring up many feelings, and I think it would be fair to say I've experienced the whole spectrum. Feelings of sadness and grief, but also gratitude and joy as we celebrated as well as mourned Dad's life. And yet, amidst the ongoing sadness of the week, Catherine and I have also experienced other feelings, like accomplishment when we recorded 8 videos in 2 days for our business, and happiness and gratitude when Catherine's podcast Divas, hit the top of new and noteworthy in iTunes in 4 categories. So it seems fitting, therefore, to think about the process of dealing with feelings. Now, whilst it's true you can't always choose how you feel, you can choose how you respond to how you feel. And that's what we're talking about today, dealing with feelings. So once you've recognised you're feeling something, there are a number of choices you can make with how you go about dealing with them. Here's 5 ways. The first is to express your feelings. In other words, let them out. So if you're angry, for example, you might typically smash something or shout. If someone has upset you, you might tell them how you're feeling. So you might say something typically like, "I'm really hurt by what you said, and right now I'm feeling pretty resentful." Now this can be helpful in that expressing your feelings can give a sense of release and clarify how you feel. It may also prevent you from getting more embroiled in a situation because you've expressed it in the open. Plus, it can make others more sympathetic to you. It may, for example, encourage them not to take how you are behaving personally, particularly if they realise that they are not the actual cause of the way you're feeling. But expressing your feelings, especially if forcefully, can alienate people and can potentially lead to violence and can be bad for your health as well. We all know of people who frequently lose the plot in their anger and can only imagine the longer term consequences of these outbursts to their health. The second way of dealing with feelings is to channel your feelings into some other activity of your choosing. Like, for example, going for a run if you're feeling frustrated after maybe sitting all day in front of a computer screen in your office. Or perhaps channeling your anger into more logical ways of thinking about the subject. Writing that letter to an authority if you're feeling frustrated about an aspect of their service. Many of us channel feelings constructively into creativity or sporting pursuits. But be aware also that of the potential and the potentially destructive side of always channeling your feelings into something else. Feelings do sometimes, after all, need to be dealt with. The third way of dealing with feelings is to switch from one feeling you're currently having into another feeling of your own choosing. You know the sort of thing. I know I'm angry about this, but I can either get really worked up about it or I can just choose to laugh it off. Here you're switching your anger into laughter, and it can be a highly appropriate means of release, a release mechanism in moments when you're feeling tense. But likewise, we've also been aware of when we've inappropriately got the giggles at an event where we'd rather not have had them, and taken to extremes, switching feelings, for example, of something like jealousy to anger or revenge, or expressing a feeling inappropriately, like laughing at someone's misfortunes, is the flip side of switching feelings constructively. The next method of dealing with your feelings is controlling your feelings for the time being, or for now, choosing not to express your feelings in that moment, but instead waiting until it's a safer environment to let it out. At the funeral this week, I chose to control my feelings of wanting to cry before giving the family tribute, reasoning in my mind that if I'd started showing my feelings through tears, I might not be able to give the tribute I'd prepared. Sometimes it's good to control your feelings when letting your feelings out may just make things worse. Plus, it also demonstrates a degree of self-control. But conversely, it's necessary to let out feelings at some point. The death of a parent, for example, is after all a hugely significant moment. And sometimes controlling feelings can be destructive. It can cut you off from yourself and your own feelings. And from other people too, because really they just don't know how you feel. And you miss this wonderful chance to be supported or to have others share in these feelings. So at the extreme then, too much control can become avoidance, if you like. The fifth way is reasoning the feeling through. Reflecting on whether it's actually worth getting so worked up about what you're feeling. This is about using your rational mind to think through your feelings, examining your feelings to see if they continue to be appropriate or have changed in some way. So it might be, for example, healthy to reason through feelings which have led to a long-term grudge, for example, particularly if it's affecting your health or your outlook in general. We're all of us capable of taking advantage of our ability to rationalise or reason through our thoughts. And using this capability with our feelings will enable you to manage your life more effectively. Reasoning your feelings through is also helpful when it stops you rushing in and making a mistake you might live to regret, or stops you expending unnecessary energy on something. And through rationalising, you come to recognise more fruitful ways of dealing with those feelings. But as always, it can be destructive when reasoning is your only tool in your armoury. We do, after all, need to feel. It's what makes us feel alive, isn't it? So how do you judge which will be the most useful in any particular setting? Well, a good rule of thumb is to consider what makes the circumstances better for you in this situation, or ideally better for you and the other person or persons. Or you can consider what makes the situation worse and avoid that. So you can ask yourself, if you're really feeling fed up with someone, would expressing my feelings now make the situation better or worse? How do you balance those 5 choices? A nice way to consider how to balance your feelings is to do the following for each of your 5 ways of dealing with feelings. So let's take the example of expressing your feelings. Say to yourself and answer this question: do I need to express my feelings more? Or am I expressing my feelings about right? Or do I need to express my feelings less? You'll know the answer if you listen to yourself. You can repeat this process for channeling your feelings, switching your feelings, controlling your feelings, and reasoning your feelings. And through doing this, you'll get an idea of how you predominantly deal with your feelings. You'll also be aware of the other options you have and which ones you're underusing. In the end, the skill of dealing with feelings is probably about balancing those 5 ways rather than defaulting to one in particular. Anyway, tell us how you deal with your feelings. Tell us how you deal with your feelings by leaving us a voicemail using our new voicemail service. It's a pink Send Us a Voicemail tab found on any page on Brilliant Living HQ. And who knows, we may feature your voice on our podcast. We'd really like to share your collective knowledge of these matters. Or you can leave us a comment below. I really look forward to hearing from you.